What's up everyone? In this video I'm going to be sharing with you the top things that modern society has screwed us over. Now these are side effects of modern society. Of course, modern society has helped us tremendously in many ways, but because of that it's also kind of forsaking some things just by naturally not really being cognizant of them. So this is really important because guess what? Society, cities, technology is changing at a rapid rate. And our way of life has been the same for thousands upon thousands of years. And since humans evolved so slowly, we still work as if we lived thousands of years ago. We still operate genetically in that way, which means that if you don't account for these things, you're going to be screwed over. So I'm going to tell you the first one, which will make complete sense and make it very obvious to you. The first example is, of course, salt, sugar, and fat. You know, for many thousands of years, salt, sugar, and fat was not very common, which is why we as humans have been evolved to like it so much. Very recently, thanks to agriculture and technological developments, we get tons of it at McDonald's, at all these other places. And because of that, we're just kind of screwed over. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm outside this thing, I was doing dips on this PlayStation, children's PlayStation thing, and I was going to return some books to a library. Anyhow, that's number one. So how do you account for this in the modern age of abundance of salt, sugar, and fat in the form of junk food? Simple. All you do is you realize that your taste buds are not accurate. If you've ever wondered why do we like food that's bad for us and not like food that's good for us, that's one of the reasons. And of course there's plenty of fitness blogs and YouTubers who can help you more with that. The second one, now we're getting into the less obvious things. This one is huge, and it is the rites of passage for men. So this one is huge. It's crippled many men. It's made them very passive or not really true men in terms of masculinity. And I'm definitely part of this group. Essentially, with modern society, we're now being groomed and brought up in classrooms where we aren't able to move and do fitness related activities, nor do we have many male role models. Most classrooms are they're taught by just females, plus we have no male rites of passage. So for thousands of years before that, we were brought up by other men with male role models and taught how to be masculine. Now we're told you can't even move around. You have to sit in a classroom for years and years and years before you can never do anything. And guess what happens when you do something like that? Well, you develop habits and behavior that's not ideal for being a man, which makes you less attractive to women, and less assertive, which is not helpful for the main areas of your life. Okay, moving on to number 3. Here's another one. The Savanna Principle, another term used to define what I just described, this disparity between genetics and our technological and societal evolution. The third one is essentially we tend to overestimate what we can do in a year, but here's the big one: we underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but the biggest reason is antibiotics. Antibiotics has allowed us to live decades upon decades longer than we would have. It's literally almost doubled our lifespan, and they were invented just like 100 years ago in the early 1900s. So this is something that the entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk and other successful billionaires talk about very often. And it's very simple. It's patience. We as humans are not as patient genetically as we should be, given how long we now live. And so if you've ever wondered why so many of us are so impatient to be rich or famous and successful, it's because partially we're genetically wired to live as if we were to live and die by the time we're 20 or 30. And therefore there's a huge opportunity here to be more strategic, more intelligent about this. And I see a few A players who do this in the personal finance field and other fields, the entrepreneurship field, but the majority of people, they don't do this. They're very short-sighted. They're mad because they're not like worth millions of dollars by the time they're 25 years old. It's ridiculous. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not some like god at this. I'm just as bad sometimes. I get impatient, I get frustrated. But if you can realize that we now live until our 80s or 90s, and that, you know, people like Warren Buffett are still, every year Warren Buffett excites me because he's